Welcome to Melodies, Musings, and Music. I'm Melody. I'm listening to the sounds of water running over rocks. It was very peaceful today here in my living room. Hi, I'm Melody, and welcome to my living room. This is the third in the series about my grandmother Lila and memories that I have of her that I documented a while back. And I'm glad you could join me here today. I hope you find this interesting. This is just another little nugget from my past that I wanted to record, primarily so that my grandchildren will be able to understand some of the memories that I carry from my childhood. As I said in the first video, I've been a little bit reminiscent today, thinking about a trip that I'm going to make back to my home state of California at the end, or for the second half of the month of July. And this particular piece that I wrote that includes memories of my grandmother is called California Quest. The January following my graduation from high school, I took a leave of absence from my temporary office job and flew from Texas back to my home state of California to spend some time with my grandmother Lila, in hopes of figuring out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. In many ways, that trip was a turning point in my life and ultimately set the tone for the next phase of my life as a young adult. And once again, Grandmother Lila played a pivotal role in shaping my spiritual journey. By this time, Grandmother had remarried for the third time. Her first husband had passed away. Her second marriage ended in divorce due to her husband's alcoholism. And hubby number 3, Lloyd, was quite a character and very forgetful, but sweet as honey to Grandmother Lila and treated her like a queen. It was good to see her in a happy marriage after many years as a lonely single woman. They lived in a nicely landscaped retirement community in a small town in Northern California. Every night at dinner time, the 3 of us sat in their spacious living room and ate our supper on TV trays while watching Wheel of Fortune on television. Then, as soon as it got dark, around 8 p.m., they would say goodnight and head off to bed. A confessed night owl, I stayed up most evenings and read until midnight before turning in myself. Part of my reason for this trip was to decide if I was going to marry a certain young man who had proposed to me a few weeks earlier, or investigate the possibility of moving back to California, getting a job, and enrolling in college. It was a real dilemma for me, and I was confused and torn over what direction I should go. When I wasn't working on my own goals, I spent some time shadowing my grandmother at her job. She worked part-time as a caregiver for disabled elderly people in their homes. Not in the best of health herself, and approaching the age of 70, I found it amazing that despite her own disabilities, she continued to reach out to those in need in her community. She had a strong spirit and believed in doing what she could to ease the suffering of others. Over the years, she had built quite a support network of elderly female friends who checked on each other on a daily basis. Slowly but surely, they started dying off, and I sensed a great sadness and loneliness in my grandmother as she realized that she was outliving all those she had come to love. Ultimately, what was to be a 6-month stay turned into 6 weeks as I made the decision to return to Texas, get married, and start a new life. But I took with me a gift from my grandmother that served me well in later years when my husband became disabled and I became his full-time caregiver. It was the special gift she had given me of sacrificial compassion and caring for those who suffer despite the odds. And for those of you who haven't watched some of my earlier videos, my first husband broke his neck 5 years into our marriage and became a quadriplegic. And I took care of him for the next 14 years. So my grandmother's example inspired me to be a caring and compassionate person. And I'm so grateful that I was able to follow her around at some of her jobs that she had when I was visiting her on that particular trip to California. And I'm looking so forward to going back to that area and spending a couple of weeks retracing my steps from not only that trip, but other trips and other places that I lived in California. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you all have had a wonderful weekend and that you're ready to start a new week. Thank you so much for joining me and for listening to my stories about my grandmother, who meant the world to me and still does. I consider her to be one of my primary guardian angels now. So, anyway, that's all for this video. I've got one more to go, and I'll call it a day and go do some swimming, which I was supposed to have done earlier in the day. The next video in the series will be called Comparing Notes, and it's a bit humorous, so come back and join me again. They're very short and sweet. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.